G'day boyos and girlies, cause remember, 1.6% of you guys are gals. Yes, we do have a female audience, I'm claiming it. Today, I've got something extra special, cause not only am I explaining the entire lore of everyone's favourite hunk of bones, I'm also doing a collaboration with my favourite new YouTuber, Erik the Red, who has made an animation sketch for this video, which shows SETTRA in all his glory, so stick around for that. Now, if you watch some of my other videos, you'll know that SETTRA gives me an erection the size of the fucking Burj Khalifa in Dubai. Forgive my pronunciation, I suffer from speech retardation. And every time I click on SETTRA in Total War Warhammer, I instantly spew a copious amount of jizz.
Fist me, daddy!
Ooh, better clean that up, eh? Ugh. SETTRA has some seriously rich lore, as he was exciting when he was alive, and also more exciting when he was dead, or undead, or skeleton man, or skeletal, however you want to call him. So it's hard to compress all his traits and accomplishments into a 10-15 minute video. Why 10-15 minutes, I hear you ask? Well, Timmy, that's because YouTube has a hard-on for watch time to maximize ad revenue, and because Mr. MajorKill is a money whore, I'm gonna make some slick-ass watch time occur. Anyways, back to it. I'm now gonna play an animation that me and Erik the Red, the person I collaborated with this video with, worked together to make. However, it was mostly Erik the Red, so he gets most of the credit for sure. This will give you an intro and into an insight of how much of a hard cunt SETTRA is.
Finally here in this barren wasteland. It was a hard journey, boys, but we made it. Cause what do we want? Damn right! I heard these sandy kings are just ripe for the taking. No need to peel away the fleshy bits. Now, let's give these bony bastards a good butchering! Corrupted hounds of the dark gods, tremble before the might of SETTRA the Imperishable, the King of Kings, Lord of the Earth, High King of Nekara, the Grand Master of Khemri's warhouse, wielder of the Divine Flame, the Supreme Commander of all from SETTRA to Zendri, mighty Lion of the Infinite Desert, the autonomous ruler of the barren wastes, Great Hawk of the Heavens, Majestic Emperor of the Shifting Sands, the Vanquisher of the Northern Invaders, Protector of the Two Worlds, Scourge of the Faithless, Terror of the Living, Region of the Eastern Mountains. God damn it, get me a beer or something. That's better. Thanks. Now, where was I? Oh yes. Caller of the bitter wind, taker of souls, tyrant of the foolish, the soul unifier of Nekara, ruler of the four horizons, the founder of the mortuary cult, the chosen champion of the gods, the shining scion of Khemri, monarch of the sky, high lord admiral of the death fleets, the conqueror of the Scarab City, the destined sovereign of a reign of 1,000,000 years. Let it be known across the peaks and valleys of the world that SETTRA does not serve. SETTRA rules. Now face my wrath, creatures of... Where are they?
Yeah, they left about 2 hours ago and they've sacked Khemri and they've just taken all our treasures.
What? Why didn't you tell me earlier?
You seemed really into that speech, so I didn't want to ruin the moment.
By the heck's mummified balls, this always happens.
Thank you so much, Erik, for providing me with that clip. Guys, please check him out. Link in the channel will be everywhere that I can put it. He's almost as funny as me and his videos are 10 times better. Let's get into it. Settra was a Nekharan king who ruled in life thousands of years before Sigmar was playing with his ding-dong. He was a powerful warrior, but also a devout and intelligent ruler, as he knew that the king, with the support of the people and the gods, would be unstoppable. Hence, early in his reign, he had the temples restored and erected fucking sick monuments to his gods. On his first anniversary of his coronation, he had a massive ritual and prayed that the gods would restore Khemri to a golden age. Settra doesn't fuck around when it comes to rituals either, like he sacrificed his own kids as well. Turns out the gods of Nekhara are kitty fiddlers and really appreciated his sacrifice, so they flooded the Great River Nile, the Great River Vitae, and it washed away disease and famine from Khemri. Now, because all the other Nekharan kings were weak cunts who didn't have a big fat river flooding and washing away all their problems, Settra didn't have much trouble fucking them all into submission. One by one, the Tomb Kings surrendered, or the Priest Kings, or just the Nekharan kings as known back then, surrendered to Settra, and before long, the entire of Nekhara was Settra's. Nekhara entered a golden age as despite being a massive tyrant and a bit of a cunt, Settra was a solid as fuck leader. Any challenge to his rule was instantly crushed, and any agents who sought to assassinate Settra were caught and killed very quickly, and very painfully, I assume. Naturally, Settra got bored of ruling over sand, so he decided, well fuck it, let's take over the world. The priest kings of Nekhara soon dominated half of the known world, conquering distant lands reaching as far as Lustria. Settra was the one, he was the beast. But all things have to come to an end, and cause no army or enemy could actually threaten Settra, his only enemy was that he began to age. It was time. Settra knew that he would not be able to conquer the whole world with a mortal lifespan, and he got seriously pissed off about this. So Settra, being Settra, vowed that he would never die. Because fuck yeah. Pretty ambitious for a guy that was about 50 at the time, and I assume human lifespan in Warhammer Fantasy isn't that long. So Settra, in an attempt to never die, created the Motriarchy cult and tasked them with making him immortal. They learned a shitload of stuff, travelling far and wide to discover potions and incantations, and they even perfected mummification. It was also around this time they started experimenting with the winds of magic for themselves. However, despite being able to greatly extend Settra's lifespan, they found they could not keep him alive forever, so Settra continued to slowly age. Settra was obviously fucking pissed off about this, but the Motriarchy cult was like, hey man, we know dying sucks, but we have a plan. At the moment, we can't really make you immortal, but we have learned a shitload about life and death, so give us a couple of centuries and we'll make you immortal. To which Settra was like, fuck it, yeah, right. So, using intense magic and powerful incantations, the Motriarchy cult laid Settra to rest in a fuck-off massive pyramid, and they even buried some of his finest legions alive with him so that when he rises, he will still have the same dudes to go to war with. And they also buried Nakath, who was a legendary warrior and Settra's herald. He was mummified alive with Settra, so that he may serve Settra again when they are awakened. Needless to say, things didn't go according to plan, as despite the Motriarchy cult learning more about death and continuing to protect Settra's immortal spirit, they just couldn't wake the old fucker up. And then that whole fiasco with Nagash ending all life in Nekhara happened, and it just got a bit awkward. When Nagash was killed, the spell he cast to resurrect the armies of Nekhara and bind them to his will, it kinda went a bit funky, and instead, all the dead did rise, but they had all their memories and personalities intact. Obviously, they were fucking horrified to realize they were now just rotten flesh and decayed bone, let alone the fact that their cities were buried in sand and ruined. Due to Settra's big fat fuck-off protection spells, Nagash's spell never reached him, so he remained dead, while all the other Tomb Kings started a massive dick measuring contest to see who was the biggest douchebag. And by that, they entered a really autistic war with each other. Like, no one was dying because they're all skeletons, so they just kept reviving, and it was pointless, and it was very destructive. The Motriarchy cult looked on and were like, fuck, these Tomb King retards are going to destroy everything if we don't do something. Then they were like, someone's got to revive Settra. Because, Settra's a fucking beast. Ketef, who's one of the legendary lords from Total War Warhammer and leader of the Lich Priests, wandered into the Great Pyramid of Settra and began the awakening. Now I need you to picture something with me here. Every single king of Nekhara who ever lived had been raised from the dead, and all the soldiers they ever commanded were with them. And then Settra, the motherfucking imperishable, comes out of his fucking pyramid with his elite tomb guard, and he just skull fucks them all to death. He literally just fist fucks a dozen or so more, dozens of Tomb Kings, and even defeated Arkan the Black and drove him from Khemri. Before long, all Tomb Kings bowed before the might of Settra. After reconquering some of his lands in Nakara, Settra was like, yo guys, what the fuck happened? Why am I gross and sticky and decaying? And why are all my lands gone or plundered? To which Ketef replied, well, it was going well, and then Nagash just kinda shut on everything. Settra wasn't too keen to hear this, so he commanded all Tomb Kings to return to their slumber and to be awakened as needed. Settra vowed to never again slumber and to watch over his lands for all time. A few years later, some marauding armies from the north came to Nakara and began plundering its treasures. This was a bad fucking idea, as they found themselves surrounded by the undead and getting torn to shreds. Settra engaged their chieftain Valgar in a duel. However, Valgar was able to drive his chaos-enchanted axe into Settra, destroying his mortal form. Before Valgar could celebrate and be like, lol, I just killed a raid boss, Settra's body exploded into a swarm of beetles that ate Valgar and then returned to Khemri to begin regenerating Settra's form. Kalgul Bloodfist, who was a lieutenant of Valgar, stooped down and stole Settra's crown from the little ash pile before fleeing. Only a dozen marauders survived that day. Needless to say, stealing Settra's crown was a big no-no. Each of the marauders that survived that day became chieftains or chaos champions in their own right, commanding powerful forces that were feared. But Settra didn't give a fuck, so when he regenerated his form after a decade, he led his armies to Norska, all the way from Nakara to Norska, and fucked them all to death. Necrosphinx cleaved through giants, trolls were hunted by Necropolis knights, and dragon ogres were slain by Ushapi. Only Kalug Bloodfist remained out of the dozen marauders who first left Nakara. Settra engaged Kalug in a legendary battle that lasted for 2 days as bones smashed against metal. Tomb Scorpions cleaved through marauders only to be slain by Kalug himself. It was only when the Tomb Prince Apophis, who was cursed for being a cunt and murdering his family, ambushed Kalug and slit his throat, did the forces of chaos begin to crumble. Settra did not allow any to escape, as he had cavalry literally waiting in hiding for the Norscan armies to flee, so that he could just massacre them all. Needless to say, Settra was wearing his fucking crown on the way back to Nakara. And there we have it. That covers the main points of Settra's lore, and hopefully you can now see why he is my sex icon. You may be wondering, what happened to Settra during the end times? And I have a video that explains that as well as explaining all the other Tomb King legendary lords' fates during the end times. Link will be in the description. It's a good video, please watch it. And in the comments as well. I had a lot of fun making this video and working with Erik, so if you guys enjoyed this, then please like, comment and subscribe, and also check out Erik, give him a sub, he'd really appreciate it. He works so hard on his videos. He has a lot more of those cool animations that you saw on his channel, and he's fucking hilarious. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.